Welcome back to another mountain road ride, gravel ride of the week. And we are back at the Stokesville campground. So maybe if you've seen my other video that I did a few weeks back about the Stokesville Strata gravel grinder that took place at this very venue. Now for that event, we went through the valley that was over there, but today the event is very appropriately named Little Switzerland because we're heading into those mountains this time round. So I'm pretty excited. I think there's going to be a lot of elevation gain in this one, and this one takes me into the territory where I feel a little bit more at home. Long steady climbs as opposed to all the fast short accelerations that we had in that other ride. Now with this one we are going to climb, as I said, right into that mountain range there. It goes through to sort of a highland area there that has got the nickname of Little Switzerland, and it takes us through the George Washington National Forest. So that is definitely going to be one super scenic ride, and I am excited about that. It's going to be a challenge, no doubt, as you'll see on the map that I'll show you, but other than that, I think it's going to be an epic ride. All right, so let's get started and get out on the road and check out this second event in the Stokesville Gravel Series, Little Switzerland. Similar to the first event in the Stokesville series, the start of the race was once again staged as one long drawn-out procession. With race number 93, I was basically right in the back of the start grid. Fortunately, the pace was much more controlled down the steep exit road this time around, and thanks to the long neutral zone rollout, I could easily make my way back to the front of the group. This time, I made sure that I went right to the front of the group the first opportunity that I got. I was not going to waste any energy chasing down the lead back. It didn't take long for the climbing to begin. Once we hit the George Washington National Forest, there would only be a handful of short, sharp descents on what would otherwise be a lengthy 15 miles or 25 kilometers of steady uphill climbing. The short and sharp descents were all included on the paved section of the course, leading to some very fast-paced riding. Who says that you need to have a dropped bar bike to hang near the front of a gravel race? A mountain bike with aero clip-ons. Now that's how it's done. The race continued to make its way up higher into the mountains, with most of the front group still together. This would however be the calm before the storm, as the first technical sector was coming up quickly. And what a sector it was. Welcome to gravel. What can I say? My road background was once again letting me down as I was left to chase back to the group following a technical section. We were getting very close to the top of the extended climb, but by now all the climbing and intense effort to stay up with the front punch was beginning to catch up with me. I was barely holding on, and with a long way still to go, I needed to drop back and ride at my own pace. In some way, I was actually very glad to be out of the group at this point. The pace and risk-taking started to heat up in the front group, and there was even a small crash that I would have most certainly been tied up in had I been in a bunch. The fastest and most technical downhill of the race was coming up next, and I was more than happy to have a clear shot in front of me. Phew, that was one insane downhill. We weren't done with the climbing just yet. To get to the Little Switzerland high country area, we needed to head over one more big climb. Unlike the previous hair-raising downhill, this one leading through to Little Switzerland was just spectacular. The stage was truly being set for all the incredible views that were still to come. But don't think that the climbing was done just yet. The end of this steep hill was in sight, and with it came some sensational views of the sky, the pastures, and the mountains that surrounded us. The front group was well up ahead of me at this point and had narrowed down to only 4 riders, with another pack chasing from behind. The franticness of gravel racing was far removed from my mind at this point, as I began to fully admire all the scenery around me. I could see why this place carries the nickname of Little Switzerland. I can easily fill up 30 minutes of this video with shots of the beautiful natural surroundings. But let's skip ahead to the last part of our loop through Little Switzerland. Here we found more incredible gravel roads that run through the surrounding farmlands. After a short and steep downhill along Heiner Mill Road, we would also get to ride beside this creek that the online event notes described as magical. I'd say that they were right. Remember that insane downhill that I showed earlier? Well, the downside of retracing one step along a bike route is that any fast-paced downhills turn into massive uphills on the way back. Let the climbing begin. all the massive mountain climbs were finally out of the way and I could reap the benefits of all the climbing on the next long downhill stretch through the George Washington National Forest. Mile after mile, this downhill continued, and with it came a true appreciation for the incredible scenery around me. Being out on these roads provided lots of time for deep thoughts, and it was in those moments that I realized why the saying goes that gravel means different things to different people. Cruising along that road was far more rewarding than any prize that I could win on the day. The short and sharp descents that we encountered at the beginning of this race provided the last few challenges of the day. But soon I would be back in the home straight as I headed over the famous Stokesville steel bridge on way to the finish line. The steep climb into the campground even felt easy after all the other challenging climbs that we ascended on the day. What an epic ride! Alright, so that brings us to the end of another gravel ride of the week. This one being the Stokesville Gravel Event number 2, Little Switzerland. So this one was a real tester when it came to elevation. I think you can agree with some of those shots that you saw, that the climbs out there were not easy. I think by the end of it, my legs were definitely feeling all of those big climbs. And I'm going to feel this one tomorrow, that's for sure. For me, I think at least there's a little bit of a personal victory in this one. I set out at the start of today to try and stick with that front racing group for as long as possible, and I hung on just about to the top of this long drawn out mountain climb. So for me, that's a victory. I will take that one for sure. But beyond that, I think you can agree that the scenery on this ride was just absolutely spectacular. That loop that we did out in that little Switzerland area, oh wow, man, that is just absolute stunning country, and I enjoyed every second of a loop through there. If you enjoyed this ride as much as I did, and this spin along with me throughout the video, please be sure to give it a like and do subscribe to our channel. We'll be back with more Gravel Ride of the Week videos in the future. Until next time, I'm Vian. Enjoy your ride.